Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Vinitaly International Wine and Spirits Exhibition. The 54th edition of Vinitaly was held from 10 to the 13th of April. If you missed it, don't worry. Go to vinitalyplus.com for on-demand recordings of all the sessions from the exhibition. And remember to save the date. The next edition of Vinitaly will be held from the 2nd to the 5th of April 2023.
Welcome to Iconic Women in Italian Wine on the Italian Wine Podcast. This recording was taken from a seminar that took place during Vinitaly 2022. Listen in to this unprecedented, unique session that included 2 competing wine writers and 7 renowned wine producers, sharing a stage to tell their stories. This was a meeting of hearts, minds, and wines, a showcase of the communication skills of women who were able to pool their resources and put aside differences to come together for the greater good of the entire Italian wine sector.
Okay, so now we know who's here, in case you didn't before. And you can see that we have 3 wines poured. This is our first group. So everybody please taste them now and think about who you think, which wine might belong to which producer. I am going to give you a little bit of a hint and tell you who's in each grouping. Well, actually, taste first and then we'll get to that. Yeah, and we actually managed to deliver some small samples to Monica. So I don't know if while we're tasting, Monica, if you have any notes. Some very distinctive wines here, I would say. Right away, what I love about Italy, wines that really speak and say something to you out of the glass. Monica, any comments?
Yes, absolutely. Thankfully, despite my terrible voice and the coughing, I do have a sense of smell and taste. So I'm very excited to taste these wines. Off the bat, we jump into the first sample, which is obviously a white wine. But I think you'll notice that it's kind of hard to tell exactly what grape this could be. There's a kind of a fullness. There's a lot of kind of a ripe apple, pear, a little bit of nuttiness.
I was going to say, Monica, I think if this was truly blind and we were tasting in the dark or with black glasses, you wouldn't know if this is a white wine or a red wine.
Exactly, because it's very generous. It's incredibly generous, very perfumed, and a lot of depth. But I'm really struck by the kind of creaminess as well.
And, you know, also to talk about wine number 2, this to me, this beautiful juiciness, beautiful expression. And I actually think we're going to see this in all of these wines, just the wonderful complexity that we're going to find. Monica, I'll let you maybe move on to wine number 3.
Yes, so wine number 3 is definitely, there is a bit of evolution there. But I mean, notice how those kind of earthy notes jump right at you. There's licorice, there's dark tar, there's kind of like a rusty nail. There's also a kind of almost a little bit of a balsamic note that kind of comes straight from the bouquet with a little bit of almost like a dried violet or even a little bit of rosemary.
Great mineral expression. Yeah, we're going to let them do some tasting notes too, but we're actually going to jump to the part where we have some audience participation, please. So I am going to give you a little bit of a hint here if you haven't already figured out. Our first group includes a wine from Elisabetta Foradori, also from Arianna Occhipinti, and also from Chiara Boschis. So who do you think our white wine belongs to? Raise your hand if you think, how am I doing this actually? Yes. Because I don't want to do too many votes. We're not going to take up too much time with this.
So you have 3 choices, right?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so just raise your hand once. Okay, that's how it works. You get to vote once. So if you think the first wine is Arianna's, please raise your hand. Nobody. Okay. If you think it's Chiara Boschis, raise your hand.
Oh my God, this is good.
These kids are good. Okay, hold on. Let me ask. Who thinks this wine is Elisabetta's? Okay, great.
Easy peasy.
All right, well, now we've made it really easy for you. So wine number 2, do we think it's Chiara's? Do we think it's Ariana's? Yeah, okay. And wine number 3, of course, is Chiara Boschis. Let me tell you what we have. In glass number 1, the I'll read it as we like. 2015 Vigneti della Dolomiti, Nosiola Fontanasanta. And then wine number 2 from Occhipinti, 2019 Frappato Vigneti Contrada, BB. And finally, wine number 3, 2010 Barolo Cannubi. So I think 3 beautiful wines to start. We've had some tasting notes, but I think, as you said, we've got some younger, we have a young wine, the 2019, in between the 2015, going back to the 2010. So wonderful expressions and also some good evolutions to some of these wines. Thank you all. We're now going to talk a little bit. We had a question for this trio. Each of these producers, each of you, represent very specific and highly individual wine territories, Sicily, Trentino, Barolo. And one of the things that I see a lot and that we're seeing is more greater granularity in the wine industry as winemakers see a wonderful terroir and they want to highlight it and bottle it separately. So what are the pros and cons of this? Of course, as a wine lover, to get more information and more expression, this is exciting, but also as a wine lover to try and track down this very hard to find limited bottling is also difficult, and it means that the wine may not be part of a broader conversation. Can each of you talk a little bit about that while telling us about your wine and why you selected it? And maybe we'll just start at the far left with Ariana, if we may.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. And to be here after 2 years, very strange for everybody. Today, we are putting Frappato. Frappato is the grape original from Vittoria, where I live, where I was born. No, where I grew up. I was born in Marsala, so in the west coast of Sicily. Frappato is part of our appellation, that is Cerasuolo di Vittoria. Usually was blended with Nero d'Avola. And when I started making wine, I was attracted from this grape, and we took hands because maybe Frappato needed a person that was believing in this amazing grape, and maybe I needed a very important grape to grow as winemaker, to grow as vineyard. So thanks to the character of this grape, I learned to make wine. And after years that I vinified the Frappato, blending some different parcel, and also vinifying the Nero d'Avola, that's so as you know, it's one of the most important grapes in Sicily, and I hope in the next future Nero d'Avola will get again the importance that this grape has. But Frappato, after 2016, I decided to start to vinify it parcel by parcel, so as a single vineyard, because for almost 15 years I was working and vinifying different kind of soil, and Vittoria is specialized as a lot of limestone. So we are at the feet of the Iblei Mountains in the southeast of Sicily, in a very important place because it's the unique DOCG. So Cerasuolo di Vittoria is the blend of Frappato and Nero d'Avola, is the unique DOCG of Sicily. And the area is made by different kind of limestone. So in Vittoria we have red sand usually on top for the first 30 centimeter, and compact limestone or tufa, or more like limestone underneath. When I started making wine, when I was driving tractor around the Vittoria place, I discovered the different parcel, and at the beginning I wasn't able to buy, so I rented this small parcel, and step by step I was able to buy. So now, fortunately, I have like a treasure, because I'm working in 9 different districts in Vittoria, so I vinified many different parts of this place, and I found the work parcel by parcel one of the goal of a wine producer. It's not a tradition in Victoria, but I started to make it because for me it's important to show what Victoria is in the real part of his wine sense. So BB is the place where now I have the cellar, and this one is 19, and I have other two parcels, so PT, Contrada Pettineo, FL, Contrada Fossa di Lupo, and BB, Contrada Bombolieri. I decided to join with you Bombolieri because it's 100% limestone, as to show how Victoria is able to make so fresh wine, even we are in the north of Africa, we can say at the end, no? So the perfect deep south of Sicily. Fortunately in Victoria we have wine with low pH, high acidity, so I hope you join this freshness and elegance of the wine, and I invite you to discover the other parcel and contrado of Victoria and come to visit us soon.
Thank you, Elena. And maybe Elisabetta, if you would like to say a few words.
I'm also very pleased to be here. Thank you very much for everybody. Are you still making wine? I'm still making wine, yes. You see a cow, but no, my son is making wine now, but
because I went to see her, yeah, and your son said, no, my mom's only making cheese now. No wine, no more wine.
Fermentation.
Yeah, but you know what, we'll make cheese and wine, so this is good.
It's much more difficult to make cheese than wine. So far I am now. Yes, tasting the wine from Arianna and feeling this freshness, and go back perhaps to Nosiola or Terolde, or what we are doing in the South Tyrol, so South Austria. You are in North Africa and we are in South Austria.
Apparently we're not in Italy, we're in Africa, we're in Austria. Okay.
So perfect. I was thinking about the beauty and the richness that this country has in terms of variety and expression of terroir, because at least we are, our mission, I think, as women, or generally say as people who are making wine, is really to transfer into a bottle this pure message of the different terroir, which is a word which is not our, I would say, genius loci, or something which, of course, include the climate, include the soil, the genetic, but include also what we are able to do with this. And what we are able to do sometimes, I mean, we are, as far the people who make possible this, and we are a great responsibility, because first, to save and improve the genetic of all this variety, which are a lot, but less and less, I mean, the variability is, sorry, I talk a little bit generally, but, you know, Nosiola, Terolde, probably you know, but, and second, how can we let express this terroir? Because if you don't put the plant in a condition of be healthy, be connected, you know, with the roots, with all what the soil has to say, and also with the leaves. So there are a lot of information coming also from the cosmos, also from outside, in a pure way. You won't be able to like express a terroir. So we have this great responsibility to that in a pure way, because viticulture at least is a monocultura. It's not naturally, we have the forest which is naturally, but so these poor vine are constricted to be, yes, to work very close together. And as my experience in this 30 years was, let the plant live in community and let express the diversity. Then you can have terroir wine. And for us in the cellar, be respectful be beside. A lot of thinking, but mostly a lot of instinct to be beside to this meraviglioso world of diversity that we can have. And I choose Nosiola because Fosteroldego has a lot of, we are more, probably people know Foradori more for Teroldego, but because it's a very shy but very important variety for Trentino, which nobody knows. There are only 50 hectares, but it's like an example for the great Italian wine, which can age a lot, but only if you work with the skin, if you work with a certain cautions about, so that a lot of Italian white variety can now express herself through a different viticulture and different winemaking, because even Trebbiano, if you press, you put in the bottle, it's a very boring wine, but a Trebbiano who can express himself through the skin is completely different. So that's because Nosiola is here, and yes, I'm very, very pleased to be with this great group of women. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisabetta. And Chiara.
Okay, also I'm very, very happy to be here. And to be honest, when I get this invitation for the iconic women, I said, what do I have of iconic in my life? I work like a donkey, I was going the vineyard and in the cellar, but then I said, yes, I have this. This is the iconic thing, this vineyard, Cannubi, that has been given to me, that I take care of, and is really an iconic vineyard and an iconic place. When you think about the Langhe, the Barolo area, you think to terroir, of course, so the diversity of our vineyard, our plot is incredible. We really can make different wine from meter to meter. And that's why many years ago when I started this adventure as a winemaker, as a young winemaker, and I get the fortune to get together with some other friends. They were all boys, they were the Barolo boys, and I was the only girl in this group, but we understood that to underline and to put a spotlight on this characteristic, that would have been a very strong point for us. Barolo in the past has always been interpreted as a wine of assemblage. So all the different vineyards, the different expression of the various hills were put together. The idea was smart, of course, because you have a homogeneous and fantastic wine that put together all the different soil of our area. But to vinify in purity the single vineyard give the opportunity to understand much better, for us in premise, to understand much better the potential of our terroir. So Cannubi, the wine that I present today, it's a wine of incredible uniqueness. The fact that also the UNESCO gave us as the first wine region in the world the recognition for the as a patrimony of the humanity is important. The recognition not only to the quality but also to the beauty of our area, a beauty that has been sculptured by hard work of human beings. We have a lot of work in the vineyard because to make it look so beautiful and to taste so good, I promise you there is a lot of work that we do in person in the vineyard. Anyway, this wine is, so it's coming from this vineyard that is in the heart of the Barolo area. So it's really very well protected. It's almost like in a cup, so well protected by the weather, by all the other vineyard. And this particular is not too high in the altitude, around 300 meters over the level of the sea. We have this unique soil that is very rich in sand, so has a lot of drainage. So doesn't matter how is the weather, the condition, this vineyard performs everyone always do his best. This vintage is 2010, that is important for me, so it shows the age, and sorry, the wine is not filtered. In fact, you will find a little bit of sediment. For me, it's important, Cannubi, because yes, it's true, like Monica was saying, I had a dream, because I am organic in the farming and of course in the winemaking, but I hope I could convince my neighbor and my colleague and friend of the Hill of Cannubi to create the first organic district in the area. At the beginning, everybody was saying, okay, this is the typical Mission Impossible, and could seem so, but to be honest, I tell you, now is really almost all done. So almost all the producers accepted to adopt the organic protocols for the Cannubi, which make me very, very happy and proud. The vintage 2010 is important for me because in this year, my brother Giorgio joined me. He has 3 wonderful daughters. They are all studying enology, of course, and they will be ready soon to take the torch and help in the cellar and in the vineyard. And there will be a new generation of women. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chiara. All right, so that was our first group, but let me, I think all 3 of you talked a little bit about this idea of expression of granularity. But can we get back to this, in terms of, we looked at some very little known grape varieties, and even all 3 of these, with Nebbiolo being much better known, are native Italian varieties from very, sometimes smaller regions, lesser known. How, all of you producers, I think, how are you part of the broader conversation when you're trying to communicate about something that's very precise and very small sometimes? Is there anyone who would like to talk about this?
As I was telling you before, Barolo, for example, for Barolo, I can tell you about this. My experience was always interpreted as an assemblage, and to be honest, the assemblage is a fantastic way to present the Barolo, because you get a little bit of all the perfume, the color, the taste of different vineyard that can impact in a big different way. But the single crew has this magic of showing you and teaching you about the character of that specific vineyard. I also do other 2 Barolo, like Monica was saying before. The other 2 Barolos are, one is another single crew in Monforte, Mosconi, and the third one is an assemblage. So I hope I invite you to come and taste this wine, because the vinification that I want to do is the same, in order to show the difference of terroir, because I think that really the terroir is our strength point to make people, engaging people to make fall in love with the area, and then according to the taste of everybody who likes more elegance, for example, prefer Cannubi, who likes more the meat, the fruit, goes maybe, for example, in my case, to Mosconi. But it's really very nice, and it's possible to have much more fun if you have more diversity.
And I would say also, I mean, one of the beautiful things about Italian wine is the diversity. So this is just greater diversity. Yes. Anyone else, or shall we move on to our next group? Okay, I think we'll go to the next group, the next 2 wines, and we can all taste again really quickly. I haven't had a chance to taste yet.
I just wanted to say from over here that we are perfectly on time. So I wanted to say thank you to all the panelists and everyone. We are perfectly on schedule. And again, thank you for that.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Vinitaly International Wine and Spirits Exhibition, the biggest drinks trade fair in the world. Save the date. The next edition of Vinitaly will be held the 2nd through the 5th of April 2023. Remember to subscribe to Italian Wine Podcast and catch us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and wherever you get your pods. You can also find us at ItalianWinePodcast.com. Chin chin!
guys, I'm Joy Livingston, and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love, and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.